Hello YouTube. I know it's been a minute since I came at you guys with some writing advice, but I'm back. And today we're going to talk about characters. Now the biggest component of any story are the characters. The characters are what makes us fall in love with the story. They are what keeps us up at night. They are what makes us want to read. They keep us coming back for more. And I've seen time and time again where great characters have saved horrible writing and bad stories. But we're not going to do either of those. But today we are going to focus on characters. And the way I'm going to show you how to make great characters, and I'm going to give you a little insight on the characters behind my latest novel, Book of the Anointed. Okay, so guys, I need you to do me a favor. Go get your pen and paper, because I got my notes. This is actually one of my notebooks I used when I was like developing Book of the Anointed, and I was coming up with my characters. And so I'm going to give you guys just some tips and advice on how to create good characters, and I'm also going to give you insight about my characters. Now the thing about your characters is you want to make sure that three things come out and speak aloud when people read your book. Those three things are: you want to make sure that your characters are realistic. You know, you want them to feel relatable. You want the characters almost to kind of feel like a friend, a cousin, an uncle, or somebody that you've met before. You want to make sure that they're intriguing. You know, nobody wants to read the story about Igor or just someone that's just boring and they're just doing, you know, the same old thing. Or no one wants to read the story about someone who does everything right. You know what I'm saying? We want our characters to be believable. We want them to be intriguing. And the last thing is to be dynamic. You know, characters are people. People sometimes make mistakes. People mess up. They don't do what you want them to do. You know, sometimes the guy doesn't get the courage to go talk to the girl the first time. That's all right. It makes us want to read more to see if he actually does get the courage to ask the girl out. Sometimes, you know, the girl doesn't slay the dragon the first time. That's all right. We want to read the story to find out if she trains and, you know, she conquers her demons and she finally slays that dragon. So those three things you want to make sure you have in characters. You want to make sure they're realistic, you want to make sure they're intriguing, and you want to make sure that they're dynamic. Now let's talk about the characters in my book, Book of the Anointed. So in this video series about characters, I'm actually going to do it in 2, maybe 3 parts, but 2 parts for sure. In this video here, I want to talk about the good guys, and in the next video, I want to talk about the villains, and then we'll, you know, that will also be a video in itself, you know, villains, you know, good things that we like to read about, how to make an interesting villain, how, you know, some things you want to avoid when writing a villain. And then the last one might be gray area characters. I don't know if I might make a separate video for the gray area characters, or I might just put them in the next video. We gonna see, we gonna figure it out. So I hope you guys got your pen and paper. We about to get into it. Let's talk about these characters. Now, some of the questions you have to ask yourself with your characters. You want to know your characters intimately. You want to almost, when people read your book, you want them to feel like the person literally just walked up in the house, sat up on the couch, and just started telling their story. So some things to think about when you're writing your different characters are: where did they come from? You know, how were they raised? You know, were they raised in a broken home? Were they raised in a privileged home? You know, how we're raised and where we're from, it kind of shapes who we are as people. How do they deal with conflict? What do they need? You know, what are their motivation? Not just in this story, but, you know, in life. There are some people, you know, there's some biggest villains, you know, Magneto, for instance. He is always fighting against mankind, and it's coming from a broken place. You know, his parents were killed by humans, and his family, his wife and daughter, was killed by humans. So Magneto, he needs to protect his people. He's coming from a broken place of love, and that kind of motivates him. Even though he's doing all this terroristic stuff in the X-Men, that's still part of his backstory, and that's what drives him as a character. So you want to think about stuff like that. So now get into the examples of my own characters. I want to try to splice like some pictures and stuff. There might be some minor spoilers, you know, nothing that you couldn't gain from reading the back of the book or the first couple of chapters, which is available on Amazon right now. Plug, plug, plug. But we're going to go ahead and get into the characters of my story. Now, Book of the Anointed tells the story of the Anointed, which are these group of teenagers who are monster slayers, demon hunters, and vampire slayers. Now, one of the main characters' name is Jaden. Now, Jaden, to describe him, I would describe him as sarcastic, cynical. He's kind of like a broody type of guy. He's kind of like your Drake, you know, tough guy, kind of always in his bag and his feelings. And when you read the story, you'll kind of figure out why. And you know, my inspiration behind Jaden, I was inspired by Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. Jon Snow was kind of like, he's always been the quiet leader, you know what I'm saying? He's always been thrust into action. He's a noble guy, he's a kind guy, he's a great fighter, he's noble. And that's kind of what Jaden is. Jon Snow, Buffy, Sam Winchester. Like Buffy, that's where I get some of the sarcasm from. And Sam, he's kind of like the same with Jon Snow. He's very noble, someone that people root for. He's kind of like the underdog, and that's exactly who Jaden is. Now, some of the random things I'm gonna, you know, tell you about my characters. Like for Jaden, for instance, he's originally from California. He grew up in Baldwin Hills, which is this privileged black area of California. It's in Los Angeles. One of his favorite foods to eat is tacos. Like, the boy loves some tacos. Any kind of taco, fish taco, beef taco, chicken taco, he loves a taco. And these are the type of things you have to kind of think of when you're developing your characters. You have to know them almost intimately. Let me see, what are some other good things about Jaden? He loves to skateboard. He's terribly afraid of the dark. He listens to Bryson Tiller, Drake, and The Weeknd. And so with knowing some of these stuff, you can kind of get a picture, image of your head, who Jaden is. Okay, that's Jaden. He's one of the members of the Anointed. Now, let's go to the next member of the Anointed. You have Lay. Now, Lay, to describe him, I would say he's bright, he's kind, he's intelligent, he's innocent, he's a loyal friend. And one of my inspiration behind Lay going to Buffy the Vampire Slayer was Willow. Like, Willow was always a loyal friend to Buffy, as well as Ron. Ron was another character that inspired me to write Lay. Like, Ron is a loyal friend, he's a kind friend. And then, I don't know if you noticed, I'm into K-pop. Like, another my big inspiration behind developing Lay is the K-pop singer Lay. Like, I saw a picture of him with some glasses. The boy looked good in glasses. I'm like, you know what? That's my Korean character. That's Lay. That's Lay. Okay, so let me think. Some good random facts. Let me check my notes. Random facts about Lay. Food craze. He loves bubble tea and iced coffee. Like, he's almost addicted to it. Like, if he's stressed out, if he's, you know, going through it and having a hard day, he either wants some bubble tea or some iced coffee. He's the youngest of 5. Besides being a tech genius, he's also very skilled at martial arts, you know, and his powers is that he can basically talk to computers. It's almost like he can see into the Matrix, and he can also summon a staff made of light. Oh my God, I forgot to mention Jaden's powers. Jaden's powers, he's a telepath. He can read minds and he can move things with his mind. He's telekinesis. So that's Jaden's powers. Lay's powers is he can talk to computers, which is, writing that, it became very interesting. It became, you know, I did something different with he's almost like a walking computer. Like he's always talking to the internet and gaining information and, you know, checking surveillance systems. And then he has this kick-ass power that's, you know, instead of a lightsaber, it's a light staff. So he uses it. That's kind of like his active fighting power. Okay, next up in the crew is my boy Deshaun. Now Deshaun, if I really were to describe him, it would be hot mess, but we're gonna be nice. We will say he's funny, he's random, really random, sometimes kind of wimpy, but he's resourceful. That's a good character trait to describe him. He's very resourceful, which is odd because he actually is one of the most powerful of the Anointed. Like he has the ability to slow down time around him or to speed it up to almost cause something to explode, which is crazy powerful, but he doesn't use it much because he's very scared. He's very wimpy. But when it comes down to getting the job done, you can always count on Deshaun to save the day or to crack some very stupid joke. Now, food craze for Deshaun, he loves some chicken and waffles. He loves some wings and waffles. He, of all the members of this crew, this team of the Anointed, he's always talking about eating. Like, they over here trying to slay some vampires, and he's like, look, y'all trying to go to Waffle House or no? Like, y'all trying to go to Denny's? Y'all trying to go to Zaxby's? Like, the boy is always hungry in this book. My inspiration for developing Deshaun was Nathan. If you guys ever seen Misfits, it came on in the UK. Nathan was just like this off-the-wall character who would just say anything that came out of his mind. That's exactly who Deshaun is. Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. I know what you're thinking. Shaggy, if you read the book, you will kind of like, okay, I can kind of see Shaggy, because it's like, dude, we're about to go slay monsters. Why are you scared now? You wasn't scared 5 minutes ago. Why are you getting scared now? And another character that inspired me to write Deshaun was Lakeith from Atlanta. If you ever seen the show Atlanta, you got to check it out. Lakeith was another one of my inspirations. Random facts about Deshaun. He's being raised by his mother. She's a single mom. He had an older brother. He died. You have to read to figure out why. He has a younger brother, Boogie, who's very close to his heart. You know, he's very diehard about his baby brother. Some other random facts is, you know, kangaroos are his spirit's animal. You know, he loves him some kangaroos. And he hates anything small and furry, like bunnies or teddy bears. They creep him out. When you read the story and you watch this video, you're gonna figure out why. Okay, moving on to the next character, we got Romeo. Romeo, of course, like the name says, you know, he is the ladies' man. He is kind of an asshole. That's kind of a way to describe him. He's a little rude, obnoxious, stubborn, you know. Sometimes he can be a wild card. He can be pig-headed. He's kind of that guy. And I mean, he's the star athlete of the school basketball team. He's tall, he's mixed, Puerto Rican, black. You know, all the girls in the school love him. All the guys want to be him or hate him. And he really is living off of that, but he still has these powers and this duty as one of the Anointed. Now, his powers are that he actually can see into the future, and he can bend light. Like, he can bend light to either make himself invisible, or he can bend light into like an actual stream to like shoot it as a weapon, which is very powerful. And you know, you combine that with his cockiness, and the dude just thinks he's the king of the world. Now, my inspiration behind writing Romeo was Dean Winchester from Supernatural. Where all my Supernatural fans are, like, everybody knows, like, even though Dean's an asshole, girls love him, and he's, you know, he gets the job done. He gets, you know, whatever demon they have to fight or hunt, he's gonna kill him. He's a badass. So that's kind of like the draw and take with Romeo. And let me see, also Jax from Teen Wolf. You know, if you watch Teen Wolf on MTV, you know, the star football player Jax, he was another inspiration behind writing Romeo. So that's Romeo. Now it's time to get to the first lady, the girl of the group, Imani. Imani, she is tough, she's kind, she's tenacious. When I wrote her, I didn't want to be just like any other female hero. Like, I wanted her to be a badass. Like, she's one of the girls who runs with the boys, and like, she's one of the girls that, you know, she plays basketball with the boys, and low-key she can beat all of the boys' ass. And it's kind of like reflected in this book. Like, Imani, unlike the rest of the boys who are anointed warriors, they're these, you know, human beings with these powers to hunt demons and monsters and slay vampires. Imani is an angel, and she's their guardian angel. So she has been sent from this being called the Creator to protect them. Only thing is, she doesn't really want to protect. She's trying to kick some ass too. She's trying to be a fighter too. See, with the angels, there's a hierarchy. You know, there's angels who are kind of like the guardians. There's the archangels who are the warriors, and then there's the agents of Smite. And we'll get into what those angels do in another video. But either way, Imani, she wants to be a badass. She wants to be a warrior. They're not letting her be great, but she's still doing her job. Now, my inspiration for writing Imani was Katniss Everdeen, you know, Hunger Games. Obviously, again, Buffy, maybe some Xena, and then also Khaleesi, the mother of dragons from Game of Thrones. Like, I just love a female character who, you know, is still a girl, still a woman, fine with, you know, doesn't want to be like a man or masculine, but her drive, her energy is just like, her badass is just unquestionable, and that's who Imani is. Let me see, what else can I say about Imani? She likes listening to rap, Tupac, Lil Wayne, food cravings. I like the others. She don't really have food cravings. She's an angel, so she's kind of dead. But she loves some good bubblegum, though. She will mess up some bubblegum. She will do that. Okay, that's Imani. That's the whole team. That's the team. That's the crew right there of the Anointed. Now we're going to get into their helpers, which first off, we're going to start off with Coach Franklin. Coach Franklin is the OG of the Anointed. He is their trainer. He is their mentor. He is their guide. When I was thinking about this character, I was thinking Samuel L. Jackson, you know, just Mr. Clark from Lean On Me. You guys may not know this, might not know that movie. It's an old movie, but everybody knows Mr. Clark. He did not play. He was tough on them, but he was tough on them because he loved them. I was thinking Mr. Clark, just Samuel L. Jackson, Ving Rhames, just that old guy that's just, you know, gonna get in your face and just like, what you doing, boy? You're messing up. That's Coach Franklin. Now, interestingly enough, Coach Franklin is one of the Anointed. He's one of the last of his generation. Like, his whole team was slaughtered in one of the missions. You have to read the story to find out, but he's one of the last of the Anointed from the previous generation. So he's helping this new generation, you know, come into their powers and learn how to fight these demons and slay these vampires. Now, Coach Franklin isn't alone with helping these boys. He also has Miss Day. And Miss Day is like a sip of sweet tea with some honey just while you're sitting in the sunshine. Like, Miss Day, she's just like a breath of fresh air. Like, when when I was developing Miss Day, I thought of Giles from Buffy, you know, the Watcher's counselor, because she is a shepherd. And a shepherd is kind of like the same thing with a Watcher. Like, they're there to guide the Anointed. She's there to guide the Anointed. Her team, the Shepherd's Initiative, they have all the information on demons and angels and all these battles between them over time. So she's kind of like almost a historian, and you know, she knows a lot about these battles, a lot about mythology, about weapons, and she's there to give her knowledge and insight to help this team in being successful. So those are my characters, those are my inspirations. I hope you guys kind of like wrote down, you know, some of the stuff that I include about my characters. Like, it's obviously that I know I made up some random stuff about them, but it was to help me be familiar with my characters, because you have to think about this. Each character has a different voice. When you're writing for your characters, certain things Jaden will say, Lay won't say, you know. Deshaun, he talks with a heavy, you know, southern accent. Romeo, he's kind of Spanish, so he talks a little bit faster. Like, everybody has their own flowing language, so it's very important that you know your characters when you're writing your amazing best-selling novel. I hope this video has helped you guys. Please leave some comments, email me, you know, join the Facebook group. If you haven't, go ahead and buy your copy of Book of the Anointed. I'm actually working on the sequel and another new book that's actually going to be coming out this October. Stay tuned. I got more stuff coming for you, more tips. Keep it locked, subscribe, share this everywhere. Bye.